everybody. This is James Diboe on Discovering, dedicated to original peoples as always. And we got a special guest in. She's been on before, Michelle Walker Akoma Arts, Pan African, true, from the beginning. I remember coming into this and you were the only one dealing with the Pan Africanism. And it's always something that I always remembered anyway, So how are you doing anyway, Michelle? You all right?
Yeah, you know what, Mr. I'm good. It's always good to be, in a sense, busy with activities and stuff going on and still developing stuff. Sometimes you can get a bit overworked, but you know what? I'd rather have something to do than nothing to do, and Definitely. Nothing going on and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess it's still just working on the balance, the balance of
well, everything is balance, isn't it? Sometimes we put in so much work because we're determined to get it done. And then afterwards, once your project's done, then, there's the results. Have your rest, chill out, link with your people. And that's how I feel myself. I've been totally busy. But at the end of the day, it's always about like when you find that time, isn't it? And it was important I reached back out to you because we ain't seen each other for a good while as well.
Long time, it's too long, and this is why I say for us, I find that sometimes we do our projects, we just bounce to the next project and then to the next project or the next activity. Sometimes we make that little space in between, but I don't think we're doing it enough consistently for each other because there's information that we all have and we can share. Just doing it, I can sat down with 5 minutes with someone or 10 minutes and like, boom, boom, boom. 4 tidbits of information kind of can come to you, for whatever reason, and you can apply it. So sometimes if there's 4 of us sitting together or 10 of us or whatever, you just do that, with people and like, ooh, interesting project idea, what you build into. And just to say, yo, respect, man. Respect what you're doing. People can just talk and you can just have that little easy vibe. And sometimes I'll say honestly, I like it if it's just like not even a work thing, where it's not even like a force, we network, not like a forced network, and just where as African people we gel so easily. So even when we're not working, we actually things still kind of connect. So in that way, I still like it to be kind of very natural and not forced. So it's like you can just be having a chill and we can still connect. And 2 artists can sit or someone's like, oh, that's a project I want to get in. Here's what I'm doing, So I like it in that so people can still get the kudos for what they're doing and people can say, because sometimes we don't see it to say, oh, James, more power and more props. And it's different to writing a post or saying, oh, I like and whatever. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
When you can sit down with someone and feel the energy from people and the genuineness, that's how we kind of revitalize each other, in that way.
Definitely. So, I always feel the spirit, from you. Like I say, we go back to the Pan-Africanism. And at the time, it's all good to say, we should have a lot of these Pan-African things. But really, it was only you who was really solid on the Pan-Africanism. I'm going back as well, I think. Maybe them 2014, earlier than them.
We were doing the LAPG, the Liverpool Pan-African group and all that with Katrina. Yeah.
Yes.
And this... I was always very grateful for the start off of that Pan-African group because it just got me back to retouch again, even with knowledge and information, and even for people to bring new information. When we saw what you was doing with all the work that you were doing across the globe, recognizing our African peoples and actually connecting on a reel with them, not just, showing a picture of peoples and stuff like that. This real connection where you're talking, living, sharing, and they can actually see and feel a brother from another mother. You understand me in that way? And
energy sharing as well.
Yeah, that's a priceless thing because that's a very real thing, in that way. So we can look at pictures and stuff, and I'm not knocking the pictures, and I'm not saying we can all get a chance to go away and travel. But when you see people do that and you can see the response from the people, the oneness of us, that's what kind of reverberates, and you're like, raw. And it still makes you feel good from afar to know that way across the globe, someone sees and thinks and acts and feels like we do, in that way.
Totally.
So
well, it's that curiosity from young where I used to look around. I used to look at the globe and I look at all different peoples around the world. And when you see, that people have got a connection with Black in them, even before out. When I was younger, I didn't know about the Outer Africa theory, for example. Didn't know about that until I got to only teens or whatever. But just by your observation, you look at these Pacific Islanders and I'm thinking, you know what, they definitely have an African connection or something, or I look at these Southeast Asian tribes that go and visit in these mountainous areas, rainforests and all that, and they just look like our people. But not just only do they resemble us, it's about how they live. and they're living so spiritual. Now, when we learn everything from Western perspectives. So, for example, now, if we want to study things like spirituality and religion, we're only going to be dealing with stuff in the last couple of 1,000 years. They won't give us nothing before that. You know,
the Abrahamic stuff.
Yeah. So what we do is like, we have to think and like, well, see, when people first left Africa, rather than think that they just left as these hunter-gatherers with no idea of nothing, they took their spirituality with them from Africa. Spirituality in Africa is not no new thing. It's the beginning, essence. So it's like they kind of teach us in a way where we only figured out what spirituality was according to these Abrahamic religions that came in.
Yeah.
That's just like, that's the false narrative though, you know. And
well, that's the thing. It's funny. I mean, a friend was just having, one of my uncles were having this reasoning just earlier on, you know, about because they've brainwashed with propaganda, you know, as I see, and that's my words for it, the propaganda, whether it's the spiritual, whether it's the media, whatever the level it is, it's sometimes they're not letting us just explore our own ancestry and the heritage of what comes with that. That's why I say it's propaganda. And it's those things that if you stay entrenched in that, it'll maintain our downfall. So one of the things I reminded him of is that when the Haitians, our Haitians, freed themselves and fought down people, they tapped into their ancestral heritage, you understand me? The spirituality of it all. White people say it's a seance. They'll say it's one of our gatherings, you know, where it's a libation, whatever we've done, but they're not on a massive scale. So in certain things, those things are still got to be practiced, you know, even if we're not aware to say, okay, what is our ancestral stuff? You know, because our spirit is also our life force. So the same way I say, just when we sit down and connect, it lifts you. You get knowledge, and it actually raises your vibration just by even hearing positive things and stuff like that, and even things you don't know. And that's why I say sometimes it's good to connect, because everyone's on different levels of information and knowledge. But you can sit with someone who don't know maybe a great deal, but you know something that might be something that I don't know. You understand me? And it's how we share, and it's like this little, these vortexes are connected. It just goes and inadvertently we're being risen, you know, and it's that sort of vibe. Why I say it's with the work that I've been involved in, obviously I've still got me Akoma Art and the businesses going, but the same part of that thing is pushing Black businesses, you know. I've done a talk recently, you know, and the first thing I started off with is asking people, who knows about Marcus Garvey? It's up in Knowsley, you know, do you know about Marcus Garvey and Unia, the Black Wall Street, you know? So I tried to make this connection. I said, do you know about Granby Market? You understand me? Because for me, these are all this part of these empowerment. So even when you go onto economic empowerment, our spirit's never left us. Do you understand me? Our spirit goes in every avenue and every sphere. So even as a business person, we still carry that African spirit, you know. So it's also what makes you act a certain way, you know, if you want to stay true to yourself, you know, say, I'm not saying we're all perfect beings, but I'm not looking to rip people off or do certain things or anything to make a buck. You understand me? We don't live like that. Here's what we do. We recognize we've got to grow and evolve things and have businesses, because we've always been business and traders. That's normal to Africa, you understand me, and peoples. So it's about so it's about how we can still do that, even in a modern way, and buying into some of that energy and that knowledge and our ancestral and heritage that we've got to help us carry us on, you know, on this journey, and to walk good, you know. So the same way, enough of us who are like Pan Africanists now, even if you're not a diehard Pan Africanist, part of the Pan Africanist ethos to support Black businesses. So whether you're a big RBG Pan Africanist or just a Black person that understands that, that's all good, because it's the same thing like Marcus Garvey. They might have been Garvey guys because their one goal was, we want to rise up ourselves. They were all different, like spirituality, with the concept where they were coming from, but they had a unifying goal. The same way I still believe that our spirituality, even when it's clouded sometimes, because people take on the Abrahamic stuff, but because our spirituality stays with us, even if you're Abrahamic, you'll still channel this African spirituality into it, but it gets skewed. Do you understand me? Because like you said, the teachings are false. It gets skewed, and that's how it keeps us in this, like, not in a good place sometimes. And this is why we still got to use that to unlock it. I was a Christian, James. I grew up in this country. You know, my mum came from Christianity before she went to Rasta, and Rasta's still based in Abrahamic. But the same thing of looking at the ISIS and set, and then Horus and Heru, and having to trace it back and go through to unlock the key of what. This has all come from African ancestral stuff. It's when you go back, so you can still start somewhere and still tap back into it if you let yourself do this. It was like another thing I always say, like a reason I have with the people, and like, these are Abrahamic peoples. And I'm like, brethren, how can you say like woman came from man? Even natural concepts on the planet, a female borns everything. There are exceptions to that, where like I don't know, a tadpole that can born itself or recreate itself and stuff like that, like the supreme being. But most things come out of a female entity.
Definitely.
So to say that we're born from man's rib for me is just ridiculous. And if you want to be real, how can it be so ridiculous? Just look outside at nature. Wow. Nature tells you, everything my nature. It's like, what the hell? So even with things, what make you start questioning? Someone said question everything. The right to say question everything. It helps us unlock ourselves,
Yeah.
So in that way.
Sorry, I was just having this discussion with somebody the other day about the rib, about the female supposedly come from the male rib, the man's rib. And I was talking about this today. I said, how silly is that? Like, I mean, when you've got your own common sense, at the end of the day, even from majority of African different traditions, they all say the same thing, about they seen like the life force, like the feminine energy,
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, when the Abrahamics came in, they made a patrilineal system.
Very much
so. Totally a different type of system from these barbarians that were living in Eurasia at the time. And they were like warlike people, And
all it is for me, James, I guess, my thing is, if you can kind of explore or recognize and respect our African heritage in whatever way we want to take from that, spirituality, you want to take artistry, you want to take architecture, whatever it field, we've got a massive pool to go by. And when I say historical pool, because we know the truth, we ain't just coming from slavery. There's a massive pool to go be inspired and learn from. And it's this, and that's why I say you try and find ways to encourage people to do that. So even if you're the person who's entrenched or constrained, we'll try and find a way to make you say, okay, look at the African, even just embracing the fact that we are African, I was on a meeting and they were writing up this script, and in the script, they still refer to this thing as Black, but as part of what we're talking about, we're embracing our African heritage. So we recognize that we're Africans on the diaspora with all this diversity, but we're Africans, that's our commonality. So when I had to say to them, now, why have you wrote it as Black? Black's that concept, that physical concept. African, we're African, recognize the persuasion. And it nearly started a debate. We're going, oh, I've got this in me, I've got this in me. And one brother went, brethren, man, the one drop rule, Marcus one drop rule. So just kind of shut down the debate. We don't want to debate about what you are. Our central core is African. That's the sense of what we lead from. If you've got African, Chinese, African, Indian, whatever it is in you, that's all good. But we lead from our African roots. That's our commonality. And I ain't throwing this away for nothing. I'm not parting it with other people, or I understand people say, oh, Black and brown and this and that struggles and stuff like that, but but I'll be straight up, and this is how I see myself as maybe I don't know if it's when people want to call that Pan African, or you have to die hard militant Black people. I don't actually business. I don't necessarily like to do this, because when I say what they call brown peoples, whether that's Asian, Chinese, or anyone non-African, they don't have my back. As an African, they don't support our businesses, they support their own. So even when it comes, like I saw something said Black and brown businesses, and I was just like, you know what? I hear you, but I'm not really with that, because I know. Because I'm about this thing, and it's a thing I have about Liverpool. Sometimes when we do things, they've got a problem with just embodying us as Black people, doing our thing, Black people, and but I like to say Black Africans, because that's what the white man tried to use to delineate us sub-Sahara, but as African people, to understand me with the heritage, that's what it is. So I'm not about partying up with somebody else. If I'm doing something for my people, it's a Black organization. It's Black, and that means Black means African. Understand what that means, and nothing else. And I'll give you an example why I say this as a real example of where I'm coming from. I've grown with people here, from all different Africans under whatever the religion they are. So I'm using this Islam for now. So the guys who I've grown with, they're Muslims too. I've known them all my life growing up. Two of them were at shops. I remember asking them to put a cards in the shops. They didn't want to. And I was just like, yo, what happened to supporting local peoples? But I ain't a Muslim sister. You understand me? You've got white people's fruitful teddy bear cards in, but don't want to take my cards. But I've grown with you, brethren. What the hell? And one of them, I still shop in his shop and do what I do, but I just run with it when he was the idiot banter. The other one, the irony came, another someone in the community went to the shop and customs said, where's your black cards, mate? Where's your black cards? And he was like, someone come in. So then the person said, oh, Michelle, this shop, go to the shop and put your cards in. I said, nah, I approached him. The boy refused. He only wanted to do it now because you've come in complaining, saying, where's your black cards? But if they were really supporting my back, he would have done that already. So I said, nah, I ain't running to them people to go back to them later to them. I'll find somewhere else. Let them sit there with teddy bear cards and stuff like that. That's what people want. But that kind of showed that you might be a brown business, people's, but you're not supporting African business, because if I'm not a Muslim, you ain't supporting me in that way. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
I don't mind who supports each other. That's all good. Support your communities. So that's why we reiterate Black African peoples support our businesses, support your businesses out there in whatever way that you can in every fashion, because we have our back. We care, more. And that's why I say sometimes the brainwashing from people where they think, okay, I can only support a Muslim business. Well, no, mate, you grow in a community in the area. You understand me? So whether I'm of that persuasion or what, support us. Why? Do you understand me? So this is why I said, nah, I'm not going to jump on these bandwagons with people, this allyship. A friend said to me about, allies, or Michelle, people keep on this thing about allies. Don't allies change? So 1 minute, Japan and Russia or whatever it is, they're all these allies. You're all allies 1 minute, 20 years down the line, I'm not your ally. Understand me? So this is what allies do. Who's got your back and support you will support you 24/7. They ain't switching because the agenda's changed.
Yeah.
Me? Oh, I'm the ally now because Black Lives Matters and we do working class stuff. Get the fuck out. You understand me? Because if you wasn't the ally while we're still in the city as working class folk and doing what we're doing, you shouldn't supporting me still. So it's just like that. So I guess that's why the drive that I'm kind of on with, where still got my studio. There's other creatives in here in the studio now at Aspen Yard, Soul Mama, Love and Co, Wayne Ceramics, and we're going to be a collective. We're already a collective because we're already here. So it's like the artist collective, and we genuinely support each other. And it's a really lovely thing to be around the energy of us, that creative energy of us, that kind of supportive, loving energy with no fake agendas. When it's real, and it's real, and it's. I always say that's us at our best. Understand me? And it's the who's not on it. I say, well, don't be on it. But there's people who are on it, so we're just trying to connect with the people who are on that. I guess it's like some of the projects I'm still involved in. Yes, I've done my Liverpool Black Archive Hub, which is an online resource where you can just go to this page and click a link. So say you want to look at old music, there'll be all different links to music about Liverpool, things related to Liverpool's music history, whether it's the real thing or the modern day youths all making their music. Because one of my things about it was like, in Liverpool, when you say Liverpool and Black people, everyone goes, oh, tax death, the riots. And it kind of pisses me off.
This is it's this limited mentality, isn't it? And there's nothing else outside of dialogue or something. Yeah. No,
but my thing is, I can't stop you from having that stupid mentality, but what I can do is put something else out there. So you can still have it. Now you can go find something if you want to. So if someone wants to genuinely find Black Liverpool, maybe if it comes up in the search engine, you'll find, oh, what's that website? You'll suddenly find there's like 9 different categories. Go and hit one link. It's a starting point, just showing that there's all this wealth of culture from what I call Black Liverpudlians. Then you understand me? Is who we are. So whether you knew what was going on, it's going to help you start saying art, performance, business, whatever it is. All these different categories are categorized, and it's just a starting point to show our culture and integrate it into this Liverpool cultural experience, because we exist, we're here, and it's about making it visible. You understand me? That was my drive with that. Again, my latest one, I'm working on this, I call it a stage project. It's looking at Liverpool Caribbean Carnival and Shadow. Yeah. We knew Carnival was massive. Everyone said, everyone goes, oh, nothing ill. Not knocking it. It's all good. All the ones around the world, the country and the world.
Yeah.
But this connection that we have and our heritage and why these things needs to be remembered. Even the history of why we had Carnival, freeing up ourselves from slavery, celebrating our independence and all these things. Yes, we celebrate it. But even the fact that in the 80s, 70s and 80s, Liverpool Carnival was massive. So my thing is I want to go on to make a documentary about it, but I want to do a really good documentary. And my issue is, okay, I've got to do some research. And I also want to capture some stories from people. So research where they'll just share their experience of whatever they felt. It'll give me some material to start researching.
It's about connecting with people, and there's always ways that we can work together. There's always, like, for example,
definitely.
When I started doing the podcast shows, I didn't structure only to where if you're not talking about history, you're not coming on. It wasn't like that. It was anything
I
positive, and whether it's Black excellence, our history,
all
pre-slavery,
of it,
all of the good stuff. Yeah,
and that's what we love about it.
now and again we'll have our little negative little things, but that's just part of life. But the percentage,
That's the balance.
we're trying to keep it, the best as we. All the
Oh
great.
no, and that's real though, bro. Because for me,
I mean,
even the little bit of negative we experience and negative things, so we've got to just put that shit out there and get it out and get it out of the system too, and talk it so people can relate and think, oh yeah, that felt like that the other day, or yeah, that like that. Yeah, relate to it. It's just that we don't want to dwell on that because that's a distraction from us doing things and doing positive things for ourselves. So the same way with your podcast, we can see a wealth and pool of activity of our peoples.
That's it.
So someone might just know one person and they've gone on to watch that.
Yeah.
They might want to watch 5 different things from 5 different subjects. Do you understand me?
Definitely.
That's what I like. And it's another, like I said to the brother, it's about us just doing us, I know there's all this stuff going on. They're still trying to keep the foot on our neck and stuff like that to stop us from rising. But the more we still turn away from them and still just do us, we put that energy into creating in whatever way, and the same way where we can help promote even the modern day inventors and stuff like that. I still like surf the net. I was saying to people, all these social media stuff, a lot of it's bullshit and it's distraction, but it's about what you can use it for. So I admit I use 20% of nonsense and BS. I call it entertaining bullshit. Yeah. So I watch entertaining bullshit, but I've got to make the other 80% be searching for stuff and information and knowledge. Do you understand me? Skip some of the other after I've done the entertaining bullshit. Everything else has got to be, what's that business? Oh, what's that history? What's that? Stop on that one. Skip the other ones that are foolish. You understand me? Because some of that information is still there, what helps you and lifts you and guides you, the inspirational things, just seeing people do shit, like, what's that? There's one, I don't know if people watching this again, a American sister that knows, like, man, listen. And then she just tells you all these little different ways of making alternative incomes, and I'm just like, I haven't done anything that she suggested yet, but I've kind of noted them. But I've watched the other Black folk and what she's doing to galvanize people to be independent, using also this AI software. That's why one of the things why I got into one of my projects, AI art. I've got to some workshops with the young people. AI art. And it's basically typing some AI art, artificial intelligence art. Basically, it's just
the AI stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And it's all it is the software what's out there. You can type words into it and it helps you construct an image. It constructs an image for you, I'm not about, as an artist, I'm not about, taking away from artists or less than artists who have different, literally fine art abilities. No, I'm not knocking that. I'm not even going to recognize it. I recognize what it is. It is what it is. It just helps people create something for fun and you do what you do with it, I still value what I value in people and their art. You understand me? I'm not saying I value that art any less. It's different, but I like it because it gave it an outlet for some people to just do stuff and see it immediately, stuff like that. Yeah, and that's all it is. But it's to put it in a context of what it is, But it's the same thing. Why I say it is because even where things are developing, we want to still be in tune with some of these things when they're developing. I'm not saying make it take over us. Do you understand me? And if we have our African sensibilities, then we find our way to balance and navigate these things without it consuming us. You understand me? So this is why I say, I get involved because it's the same thing. If that AI art helps you to do what this scale done, and you can go and produce your own book, your own stories, your own this, and that's what she's teaching people to do. You can go and do that and sell it online and whatever. So I like these things because, again, it's ways and mechanisms to free us from other systems and what don't allow you to do you, or the representation what they put out aren't what we want to see. And we're only going to get what we want to see when we do it. It's like when it comes to film, got the LADFN, Liverpool African Diaspora Film Network. Yeah, it's a film network for people who are interested in film, artists, creative practitioners who use film. It's for me, I say Black creatives, business people, and anyone just interested in networking with other people that do shit. You understand me? Because it's really important that we branch out, because like with the network, we got not like how Africans usually speak 4 languages for fun.
Yeah.
As people, as individuals that we are, I know we've got 4 levels of skill, or 4 areas that we're probably potentially working, whether it's your day job, whether it's your podcast, your interview, whether it's the research work you do, go traveling around the world, there's all these different angles that we have. So once we come together, I might talk to you on angle 2 and 4. You understand me? Because that right now resonates with me. The same way I said with the network, when we connect, I've got a business, so yeah, I want some business people to come and attend, because you don't know how that business can support an artist or a film or do something. Do you understand me? So if we network, there's so many opportunities we actually open up for each other and have a commitment to doing that. A commitment, same way, James, to spending. You know, I had to say to a friend, because he said, "Oh, I was going to go to this restaurant, but it was 20 quid, man, for a goosey and whatever it was." And I'm just like, okay, I hear that. So because I didn't want to go. And I said, you know what, friend, here's what my suggestion would be. You go once, because our commitment to supporting a Black business, is go. Okay, it might be expensive that time, but all I said, we spend shit, more, we waste money on shit. I could spend £5 on sweetie, you know, for the week, one. So understand me, I can only use that because everyone eats munchies or whatever. But if you go look at when you go to the shop and look at munchie, there's £5. So I said, save that, put that into the meal thing, and go to the man sing at least once. That then you can say you can support that business once. You know, mostly you can go regular. But it's something that we've got to be enforced doing, you know, because the same way we haven't got a big conglomerate of people like, or where some like the Asians can import food together, so it makes it cheaper, so they start to undercut all the prices. Okay, or it might be a bit more expensive, but we still got to try and shop there. I'm not saying as regular, but you still got to do this. This is the commitment making us rise, you know, and stuff like that. I look in Danny's, I see how Danny supported all the traders, whether it's my cards, whether it's Hoyo, the Somalian sauce, do you understand me, the pepper sauce, and he'll put things in his shop, you know, so that you can get the exposure, because he knows everyone go to Danny's. But I've been seeing now when I went to Granby Market on the local products in his shop. I'm like, I rate Danny. He didn't take a commission from my cards, you know. I had to force him, take something, Danny, take something. Me, I try help you, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I rate it. Yeah. And this is why I say, in contrast to the boys that I grew up with, you know, what they were, or what is not because of Jamaican. The Somali girls aren't Jamaican, but Danny's got the sauce in the shop. Overs. Exactly. Is someone going to put my cards in their shop? And I understand that culturally, like, okay, my products don't do with imagery, but it's the principle of how you're going to support, because the same way you got a shop, you've got just bogus white cards. So it's just that thing. How do we do it? So where you see that people aren't for you, and as you know, every brother ain't a brother, you know. That's right. So it's also net recognizing that not everybody's a brother. What we're doing now, I guess, wanting to be the gatekeepers, but gatekeepers that fly open the gate. You understand me? Too many gatekeepers here that lock them gates, open a little, let one in or let you in or whatever it is, and they're still shutting it and like, you're all right, I'm trying to help you with the bullshit. You're all dying off, you're getting old, your time's done. You understand me? And that's what I tell you, I've done the business of everybody right here and there. Your time is done. There's a generation of young people who are coming up, man, and they are proper. You understand me? Whatever it is, what they've skipped, I always call our mashup generation. Not mashup, but sometimes the pitfalls that we've been through and didn't step up, you know, a handful of us had to kind of rise through that. I mean, more of us are now coming forward. But there's a whole generation with a different set and a due set, and they're not taking it, you know. They've built upon these legacies. I'm about supporting them, just that, because like we said, we don't want them walking into the gatekeepers who are going to shut the gate on them and crunch them. As I call it, the toxic. You know, I had a rant recently, you know, I don't care if they saw it or not, about Liverpool Hip Hop Festival, 50 years of hip hop.
Oh, 50 years, yeah.
Yeah. Now, before Nikki and them at the Hip Hop Festival flying this, and they've been flying this stuff here for over a year from time, you know, I've seen people jumping on it, not necessarily doing a collaboration. Suddenly everyone, 50 years of hip hop, 50 years of hip hop. Yeah. I didn't even say shit about 50 years of hip hop before that, brethren. Do you understand me? And it's not a problem that they're only saying it now because they've highlighted it. I'm still glad. But it would be nice to recognize and collaborate with the people that are flying this, you know, but okay, do what you do as the gatekeepers. But in the same way, the toxic that we're bitching about it, shut up. Keep that energy in your yard. It's not conducive to our development no more. Shut up. And if you can't get up and do something, as African people, we're doers. We're active people. So if you're going to be beaten down by the psychosis now of the slavery thing of these white folk, what the psychosis they put on us, well, shut up and sit there, but don't try and spit this out to bring us down. Stay in your house. No disrespect. Stay in your house. Go mad. Do whatever you want to do, because there's outlets we can build into, but you'd rather trash them. Time is done. You understand me? Ain't harboring that, and no one's sitting down allowing that no more. We're going to lick that down. Do you understand me? So,
of course.
It's where am I? Man, James, I'm 51, man. I can't be doing this continuously.
I totally agree with that, though. You know, it's at the end of the day, rather than like filter out little knowledge and that, you know, I'll throw a whole body of knowledge out there. I'm not worried about somebody getting knowledge that I've got. Good, you know. At the end of the day, it's not about like holding all your knowledge, you know, just letting it out a bit at a time. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we just got to be real with each other and have natural conversations and as natural, original people, you know.
Yeah, and I say it's a live thing, and I use this example at an event I was at, but I'll still use it here and now. I'm alongside me is Love and Co and Soul Mama, and round the way is Wayne. We collaborate, we do things, you know, we put on a family day. Even when we're saying, oh, we're at a family day, my mum open up the studio, you know, so we can see up ceramics, so we can get little sales or whatever. When I'm not here, my girls will look after my studio if someone wants to come in and buy something, and vice versa. And Anna, no one's saying, oh, Michelle's not here and somebody came. You know, we don't deal with it on them levels. It's just like, yeah, I'll come, you know, and I love it. The same way my girl from Love and Co put me on to this event in Knowsley, Black business event, made bare connections there with other artists.
Well,
the business people. James, I know, that's what I said, Knowsley, you know, but Kinney, you know, who run the event, the Black Business, the forum. It was really useful, really important. Connected with a bunch of people, and it was really good. But it's the fact that, my girl didn't think, oh, let me keep that to myself. You understand me? Let me put it onto someone else and can do this. You understand me? Same thing. The connections when I made from the networks, I'm like, oh, come to these places. We've got these networks that we have. You want to meet artists, you want to meet other people's, the business people. A guy comes and says, oh, girl, I love your artwork. I've got a business. I'd love to have your artwork in your business. Good. This is a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
And one of the things I said at that thing, any information that we got to share it with each other. You understand me? Especially the people coming behind us to prevent them from going for some of these pitfalls. Let's help them through the loop. Do you understand me? And not be scared that they'll overtake us. They're supposed to overtake us. That's what everyone's supposed to do in a generation. They're supposed to overtake the next generation and go through and do things, even if you say better, for lack of a better word. You understand me? Better or more progressive. It's supposed to be that, you know, so who's on a Pan Africanist, they know that and will work towards that, you know. They work towards the self-love, you know, embracing us for who we are, but having this self-love, you know, and not down on it. I don't care if the people, everybody, other coaches want to down on us. They can do that, but we ain't going to do that. We're going to keep rising and keep rising. And all it is, when we do that, the whole world benefits. They benefit. All the other coaches benefit. Totally. That's just the reality that I know. I don't care what you want to say about it. That's just the way it is. You understand me? So
real talk, like, no, it is. I mean, I always wondered, like, this is like this city, like, because you're obviously you generate, well, not much older, but I mean, I'm sure you remember the times where going back to when the carnival times and all that. What do you think led to the fall? Was it of Black Liverpool? Is it anything also with, now it could be a number of things. Where also we're coming near to the end of this, but we're gonna log back in anyway. But I want you to hold that thought also. So basically, from like the earliest times and that, from what you can remember, this is what we're gonna talk about in a minute. And also, is the integration been a problem? When I say integration, like I know a lot of different people, we have mixed blood and this and that, but at the same time, well, for me, I only have one loyalty. And
that's it. That's it in a nutshell for me. I recognize as Liverpoolians, we've got this whole diversity, mixed heritage, whatever it is, but it's knowing that where you can say, well, where your loyalties lie or whatever. My issue is, you still got to have a commitment to who you are. So even if you're in a mixed race, okay, you can say you're committed to white people. If you're going to be committed to white people, is that at the detriment of Black people? Do you understand me? If you're a Black person, you understand me? Well, know that and act like you know. You understand me? Because there's things that afflict us. What do you do to help that and walk with that? So yeah, to a certain degree, I do think this whole thing of how we've integrated ourselves is problematic, because if you want to integrate to the point of losing yourself, losing your culture, losing everything about what you do, and just doing what they call mainstream, which mainstream is white. Mainstream is white culture. People like to use these say mainstream. It's fucking white culture. Let's just be real about it. That's the dominance of it. So people are buying into that, and as a result, losing it. You know what was once there, and then you turn around and said, "Oh, we haven't got nothing. We used to have this. We used to have that. Why did we have that? Because people had cultural pride and wanting to have their things and invite people to come and celebrate it with them. Do you understand me? Like Carnival.
Yes. So, back again. And we're going to finish up and continue what we were talking about before. And I mean, I can give my own little experience from a child as I've grown up and that. I mean, as far as I knew, I got the teaching. As I thought everyone else got the teaching, but sometimes it's not always the way. Do you know what I'm saying? So, what do you think? Do you think integration, do you think this has made things more difficult? And when I say difficult, I mean, you can look at it in different ways. Some people, they're not comfortable with these discussions.
Mm.
Some people are comfortable because, we're trying to figure out, what's gone wrong or how can we make things better?
Well, like my artist colleague just said to me, unapologetically African. When you're unapologetically African, you just go through. Do you understand me? Whether people love what you want to be down with, including your own peoples. Do you understand me? And you'll still continue on that. I think it's this thing why we had a bit of a lack, because if you look at some of the things I mentioned earlier on from the talk I did, the UNIA, the Wall Streets, the Tulsas, even when people starting to do like Granby Market and other things, you're trying to do things to build up things and build up peoples. It's the same thing when you mentioned about Carnival, and why did it go? Some of these things that we had because we were together. The people on the outside or the white system didn't want us to have nothing and crippled us. Do you understand me? So when we said, okay, let's just work together. And when we work together is when I look back in history is when we've risen the most. Do you understand me? When we've ignored the system, not tried to integrate ourselves, just do us with us, not ask no one to give us equality or whatever, because we weren't living us even then, I've seen historically it shows you we rise and we rise better. You understand? And I don't care what they say. And it's not just using the African American situation. It's globally. You can look at any situation where we've just come together as ourselves. We rise really well. Now, my thing is, if you apply that to Liverpool, because we're all buying into white systems and whatever, I don't care if you've got like a white family. We've all got white family members, as black as I am. I've not got white family members. Do you understand me? It's this. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to throw away my culture. It doesn't mean I'm going to throw away this. And so like Carnival, a friend said, "Oh, Michelle, that's not going to happen again because the people who run that, who were in that, are gone. But we are the legacy of it. The same way, if I look at where I mentioned Haiti before and revolution, who came before them? What still kept them going? When some people were killed off on the plantation, some people weren't. So what keeps you going? What you're building, that spirit, what connects us all. And sometimes, that you say, oh, tap into the Akashic records or whatever it is, you understand me? But we know that's the old, the new, the none. You understand me? We tap into that whole thing. Close your eyes and do what you do. You understand me? Draw something. So it's this level. So my thing is, when we stop doing that, that's when things fall apart. And if you look at Liverpool, that's what's really happened right across the board. And I don't care what people want to say. They'll say X, Y, and Z. Yes, this system has not stopped funding certain things and try to cripple you by ripping your funding. We're all a syndrome of that. Every black community has got a syndrome of that. But some are still developing as their nucleus of what makes a black community. Why aren't we? Because you're happy to go to mainstream and white, even if that means because you've got white in you, or you're not even got white in you and you just want to just follow, like, I don't know, Uncle Tom Coons, just do everything like the white man to get a pass,
Yeah.
My thing is, if you keep doing that, everything's lost. So if you look at Liverpool, that's why I said to someone, they always want to take their Coons and they think there's no one cultured or conscious up here, but there are pockets of people who've always done that, to maintain it. And it's really important, because without it, we wouldn't even have what we have now. We wouldn't even have Carnival. And it's the same thing like Carnival. That was a celebration that we had to celebrate our freedom from slavery. And even from the islands, we all bring what we bring, White folk come, His family had done an interview with John Barnes. He talked that his wife was from Dovecot, and she remembers coming to Carnival because she used to live in the area. She lived around this end, South End. So there's 1,000,001 stories. When I put the post up, there was black people, white people, everyone had gone to Carnival. So we share our culture. The same way with everything. Come on, James. Music, fashion, everything they've taken is like trying to pin it as theirs, because we still share what we do and stuff like that. So I say, systems have took away some things that make it go. We are also responsible for that because we went wayward. To understand me, and didn't want to go and just also put things back into our cultural expression. You can have white in you, celebrate the white culture, why are you dashing away your other culture? So, you know, that white culture is our culture. The also thing that the white people do is all taken from African peoples. So
Exactly.
it is. It's
Why get the
something.
watered down version when you can just go to
Yeah.
the
So
totally.
also, I'll be straight. We were sometimes our worst enemy. Poverty can make people act really off key, you know. So sometimes when we have poverty and you just think, oh, myself, I've got a little money, let me scrape that little money's off there. So the thieving thing, you know, what people do. Now, have no illusion. Don't think that white people don't thief money. They call it white collar crime, embezzlement, or whatever. All these businesses you're talking making billions off of your back, the gas and all the rest of it. All these thief, the bad thieves. But my thing is, we can't afford to thief each other like this because we won't rise. And I think that was also the syndrome of Carnival when monies came in. Certain people's also were like, oh yeah, I'll pocket it and not deliver it. My thing is, I don't really care if you wanted to pocket some money. People do that. Deliver what you're supposed to deliver, you know. And if you have that principle, and this is where the spirit for me guides you. You understand me? Spirit, what you've got, what you build into. Where you lack that and think, oh well, people choose. My man can take a cut, do all this because that's what the white people, the system does. No, that don't work for me because I'm not seeking to follow what I call that's the best way, fuckery behavior. That culture, you look at European white culture or European culture across the globe, that shit ain't good. Even with its own people. Go look at its history and its heritage, destruction, war, killing, maiming, control.
It's all in the history, exactly.
Yeah, it's all there. So if you want to look at it, ain't nothing good to follow.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, oh, the shining example and perfect. Not fucking perfection. There's a whole heap of good things to follow that keep you decent peoples, buoyant, joyous, and just, healthier mentally, physically, and spiritually. And that's what we need. Do you understand me right now? So, all them reasons why Liverpool hasn't got what it's got. And there's pockets of people still fighting to maintain aspects of that culture. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
It's why I want people to revive this thing with the carnival. So that people can remember it before all the other ones older than me die off, you know, and dying off. But the same way we've got a memory, we can share our memory. What do we remember? What can we recreate if we want to recreate something? Do you understand me? But even just to celebrate and let people see what we did, that inspires people, you know, and stuff like that. When someone said, oh, Liverpool Carnival was massive and there was a time when it was like second to London, you know, that wasn't no joke. In the late 70s or whatever it was, that's a real thing. And I said to someone, is that because I was a kid and now I seen it like that? And then someone said, nah, Michelle, it really was that big. One of the adults, it really was massive. Do you remember the procession? What did she say to me? She remembers when the procession started at the Caribbean and it hadn't moved off. It went way into like town or somewhere, you understand me, before it actually moved up because how long it was. It was mad massive, you know, and I was just like, raw, I can remember that. I thought it was my kiddie eyes, you know, and stuff like that. This is what it is. I was just inspired when I think of Shadow. He was a performing artist, brethren. Look at what he did with his costumes, his theatre production, you know, his artistry, way before people were even doing shit like that. You know, one of the people who came to the event that she said, oh, she was to taught performing art and studies it, but she wasn't aware of Shadow. And she couldn't believe when she's seen and learned a little bit about what we've been sharing, that this thing isn't taught as part of like performing art history. Do you understand me? And I was just like, oh yeah. Now I didn't think about that because that's just think from a persuasion and perspective. And I was just like, oh, that's real talk, you know, and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah. And she said she'd seen the 50 pence piece, but didn't know what it was to do with, you know, that image.
Yeah.
When she seen she was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I get it. And by the way, she's white. Do you understand me? She's English. You understand me? So it's the same way. Who's human beings want to celebrate culture and celebrate what people have given an cultural expression. You can do that from any perspective, you know, but ultimately, as African peoples, we have to be committed to everything that we do, committed to all these standards economically, military. You know, I don't go on the war path, but I also had a conversation about that because when you look at the history, when we rise up, they physically want to come and kill us.
Yeah.
Line. So be prepared to fight back. You understand me? This is what our thing is. Be prepared to fight back because no longer just let you kill us and what they say, die on your knees. No, sir. You understand me? So we're going to be fighting and deading you. So whatever it is, be prepared for that because people don't want to give up power. We have to take the power back. You know, people don't give someone says, oh, empowerment. It don't empower you. People don't empower you. You take your own power. You understand me? I can't say, oh, well, I'm going to give you power. What? Oh, I'll give you your life matters. I'll get the fuck out. You understand me? My black life, my class matters anyway. I don't need their validation for that. Or no one. And that's the other thing with unapologetic African. We don't need the validation. We don't deal with it.
Exactly.
We are our own validation. If any validation I'm going to ever want, I'm seeking it from the people if I have to, you know. But even
don't need no white people, you know.
yeah,
I
don't need to sanction it. Oh, that's good. They said, yeah, that's okay. Go ahead, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. I actually don't care if you're down with it or not. Bottom line.
Exactly.
I need to know that you're down with it.
These things anyways, isn't it? You know, it's everything is just like a smoke screen, you know, it's
the rails.
It's just like, I mean, for people to believe that when they're promoting Black Lives Matter, that this means that they care, that's just silly, you know, like, you know, it's never mattered and it's never gonna matter, you know. But what I would say is I always look at like what are like solutions to our economics, to our culture, connecting back. And it's looking at the disconnection from Africa and over in the West, whether you're in America, the Caribbean, or UK. But yeah, I can see the connection. It's slowly building back up, but we should have been way connected in a large number, for example, where other people can just go there, other races to Africa, set up, next minute, they're flourishing. It's happening for them. It's so easy. And also, it's a fact of a disconnecting where, like, when people from other places are going to Africa, they should be going through Africans over here or over there. And, you know, we should be making the links on anything.
Well, some of us are, James, you know, there is a whole lot more of African people from the West going back to the continent and doing things. Like I said, we in the studio at African Yard. I was crazy about having this conversation. It's the same type of conversation that just when I came off air, like I said to Chaka, you know what? I want to see you at 51 in Africa, ready, kicking back because we've done what we've done. You understand me? So even if I'm 51 now and I haven't quite made it there, I might make it when I'm fucking 71 or 61, whatever it is. I want to see the people come behind me, have that red sorted, you know, just understand me? So it's what we're going to be building into. Some of us are. I've got this principle, James, you know, only a small amount of people control the world. Yeah. Small. Everyone is sheeple and all the rest of it follow. You understand me? So for me, I still see the same principle. It doesn't take this mass unity. You understand me? When we this idealized mass, because that way isn't happening no more. It just takes the few, you know, to start doing certain things together. And that will start changing the tide already, because you know what it is. It was always a few in number that galvanized the masses, you know, and that's what will follow. I think that principle will still work, even if we're applying it to our perspective of how we go forward. And it's not to say not be inclusive. It's about being inclusive, but there's no way, James, that I'm going to be. I can work with all peoples, but the same way, if the certain things I'm going to work on, you have to be unapologetically African. If the people aren't with that, there's something I ain't going near you with, because it's going to be a stumbling block for us. Do you understand me? So we have to just know that. If I'm just working with a black cultured person on this thing, okay, I just understand who you be. Still down with black cultured, but right now you can't come in this arena, but you can come in this arena right now. Because you know what things destabilize. That's why I say toxic. Don't come. You know, if you're not a person who want to come with the ideas, support it. Like the hip hop festival, support it. You know, even when I mentioned that the hip hop festival, I was just like, that thing ain't dead. It's still 50 years of hip hop. If you felt you wasn't involved in the last thing, well, get yourself involved. Why do people have to come to you and like, oh, here's the money, come, you know? No, bring yourself to come. If you really valued hip hop and your contribution, even as an originator, wouldn't you just want to celebrate it as a celebration? Because what I said to people, you don't fucking get paid to celebrate. Did you get paid to go to carnival? You get paid to go to have celebrations to honor ourselves and our history and our culture. We don't pay ourselves to do that. If you're delivering an activity, it's a different thing. But if you want to celebrate it, pick up yourself. And if someone's putting on an activity to do it, go along and work with them and support them, even if you're not putting that on yourself. You understand me? But don't sit there bitching about, oh, I ain't being this, I ain't being that, and blah, blah, blah. Nah, that just can't run. And you have to see that that's a sickness and a psychosis of us, and that is not healthy, you know. So the more we say, okay, if you can't get off of that, we were trying to show you, mate, not just dissing you, we tell you it straight, hear it. If you can't hear it, well, move, because they're no good to us. And here's what I'll say it. When I watch Harriet Tubman and the reminder of Harriet Tubman when she was ready to dead your ass, if you're going to run back, you're getting shot. You're not going back to the plantation to get out of court. So that same principle, it isn't the same scenario, but it's the same scenario, principle about it. It's a big ass plantation, this thing, you understand me? So the same way, if you're not working with us and you're going to do things to undermine us, you're getting done. You have to understand this principle, whether that's a physical thing. I'm not saying go and shoot up somebody. My thing is, even if I'm shutting you down because you can't come in my arena. I don't care how black you are or think you are. Sometimes you come with the psychosis of, or I call psychosis of whiteness. I mean, you all got it as black people. I'm not a black, our picture skin. It's a psychosis and identity. If you're walking with that, you'll still bring this vibe, you know. So no, and this is why I say, yeah, take out the Tubman's lead, run them people, Michelle, run them, and don't have no apologetic thing about it. Everybody is not a brother, and if unfortunately, if at this stage of where we're at, like you said, we should be somewhere else. We can't afford to be fucking with them foolishness no more. You understand me?
Yeah,
Just going into what's progressive and stuff like that, and we'll
it's like when you're at the Pan African group, and there was only a small few people, and at the time I think, where is everyone? And you know what? But then I totally got it, where it's like, it's not always. Sometimes the few, if you have the few, but there's strength with the few.
Yeah, man.
And
Quality,
with the
not
few.
quantity.
Yeah, and then I believe that's the way, you know, things can take off.
Yeah,
You know?
and this is why I still contend economics is a major factor. You're seeing the changes in Africa, you know, the Africa, like how the talk with Gaddafi and the currency and stuff like that. This is on the table again for Africans. Yeah. There's some countries who are like, yo, we're doing it. Now, I don't care what people want to say about all these gender stuff, because you front transgender on people as with their money, it made people go split. Oh, we've got values and people aren't the same as Europeans, but they're forcing their things on us for the money. We're not taking the money no more. So it's flipped. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually glad that helped flip the script, because that's making us go again to what we needed to do anyway. Our own monetary system. I don't care what the reasons are for it. Louder. My thing is, we're going back to having a monetary system. We want to work together. I've been watching some things. I watched Marcus Garvey's son Julius talk on a podcast with Kwame Nkrumah's daughter just recently. And I was just like, ooh, nice. You know, what's other things, some summit thing, and you were talking about how the Organization of African Unity didn't pan out to be what it's supposed to be, you know, and if anything, it kind of is a gatekeeper for the West, you know. They're clearing themselves up now. No, we're not being that no more.
Yeah,
we're changing that. You understand me? So these things are happening. They'd also make us think, James, that these things aren't happening. If you can keep people thinking that you're still scattered, separated, not doing nothing, but we are. That's where you can subvert the internet and you can see what we're doing if you only go and look for it. So it should be great that we should be fed on, but I can't even watch that too much. Where are we? We're still doing it. Are we still doing it? Are we still making moves? Yeah. We're going to make better moves. Yeah. Once Africa starts to do what it's supposed to do, and we do what we're doing with Africans in the continent, then you'll see even more steps come and stuff like that. And that's why I say it always starts at home, where you're at. In your own communities. That's what's really important. We're all Black Scouts, so it's going to start here with us, whatever we're doing, and we take it out. But we're not a fool as a Pan Africanist. We know that we'll work with all the peoples. And you know, Liverpool's like, boy, Africa's in Liverpool. That means the Africans, in whatever way. It's just that to get people back on this Pan African thing. And some people are jumping on it in different ways. But economics is always the key. It will free us. You understand me? In certain ways. And that's why I'm always still going to push that. We've already done the cultural agenda, the historical agenda. All that information is out there. Don't fucking find it. Don't come tell me, I don't know about this. Shut up, you coon ass people. And I'm being like this because it's people can be spiritual vampires, you know, and just want to be fed. And they're like, stroke me ego, culture, and you feed it to them, but they don't want to go act on it. You understand me? Even for self-development. My thing is, no, you can't make that excuse no more. I don't know this or I don't know that. You can actually go and get to know. You understand me? Because it's there if you want to go and see it. But if you're too lazy, because you rather watch like I do, cats. You understand me? Puss and dog, I run around do stupidness. Well, that's you spend 80% of that time doing that stuff. Well, then, no, you be.
Yeah. And that's sometimes, you know what it is as well. I think to myself, I was wondering, like, well, some people, you know, with all the internet and all the access to information now, at one time it was difficult to try to get access to information. It's so easy now. Yeah. So I look and think, well, is it the fact that we are, well, when I say we, so many are either ignorant to Africa, or is it the fact you just don't want to know?
Both.
Yeah.
It's
both. As well. Because we can't always play, because sometimes we just keep diving into the victimhood waters and drowning ourselves and drowning.
Yeah.
Where sometimes we can't always just say, play the victim in every aspect.
No, what my
Especially
thing is with
if
that
you've
is
got
that
people
you
there to like
identify.
learn off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that same thing of, like I said to the brother, uncle this morning.
Self-hate.
You can know the problem, but don't bang on about the problem. Only speak about it to highlight where we've got what course of action we're going to do next with whatever arena. That's it.
Yeah.
Because anything like that we understand now, that energy, and they understand that you put it on you, will draw you down. Like how Tony Morrison said, oh, when they talk about racism, we spend our time proving that, oh, we're equal to you, we're this to you, we're this to you. I'm not playing that binary no more. Do you understand me? Turn the way. Let me, you, James, and Chaka go and do something. You know, I don't care if the racists are calling us nigger. Call me nigger all day.
Yeah.
Understand me? I'm doing this with you. Because if I start fighting your nigger and your bullshit, that's not me being what we're supposed to be. Yeah. And I really got this now. And I had to say it a number of years ago, but I've really sort of inbred it because it's very, very real. And wherever you see it, that's the mechanism used to kind of hold us back amongst all other mechanisms. And that's why I say, nah, we can't run with that no more. Well, some of our people will run with that mentality. It's easier. You want to pass, you don't want to do stuff. Sometimes it's hard to look at a reality and say, oh, this is the reality. What can I change? It's not so easy to change it. Let me pretend like I can put my head in the sand and it'll go away. Well, no, you'll go away. You'll go mad. You'll be this. You'll be a less of a being that you want to be or are capable of being, you know, for no good reason. Then why? No. And what it does, you can't tell me that don't feel good. It feels good when you read your people. It feels good when you're watching all some things achieve and rise. And it just feels good sometimes. And then just feel good to be around our people sometimes, that energy.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
totally.
I just feel nice.
It is, you know, and I think because it's like, for example, now it's being creative. That is like a great gift to have. So I'll give an example now. When I was in Namibia or whatever, and I done an interview with someone from Namibia, and I did some in South Africa, and it was the fact that of where am I going to do these interviews? So one, I just jumped in the car. You know, there's the camera, boom, just all on. And then another one, we were on the streets in Namibia, and we bought this meat market, and we were looking for somewhere where we're going to record this. So we had to just be so creative where, oh, there's the chair, there's a chair, there's a little table there, oh, there's a little crate, balance the phone on it, record.
Yeah,
and when people watched it back, they never even thought that's how it was done. But it's a straight raw footage. And that's why I love presenting the raw, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it works.
It
works. You relate to it. Because what you do when you look down, that's how we roll. You walk into a situation in it, and that's how it really is. It ain't all glossy, it ain't all prettified and all the rest of it. You understand me? That's the fake shit. You understand me?
Totally.
And they fed us that all over. It's like sometimes you go to get over my English-born self, you know, because everything's all painted white here, tiled or whatever, you know, a different environment. And because it hasn't got that same look, it ain't lesser. I have to get over that thinking of it's lesser. Because I'm born in the West, do you understand me? Restaurants equal. My nan said this one thing to somebody because we're in Jamaica, like, oh, fucking cockroaches are everywhere in Jamaica. Go into a big fancy hotel, you'll still see a cockroach because it's the tropics. So there's things you can have to do, but don't think that doesn't exist in a big fucking hotel. Do you understand me? It's the same because you're being a fool. Where do you think you're living? You know, you don't get these things. It's why you say the cleanliness was a thing, because you couldn't put down a piece of bread because you'll draw ants, you'll draw insects, you'll draw this in the tropics. That's why they're always clean and make sure things are clean, you know. So the environment also impacts, but it's just these things that, you know, we have a psychosis of how we look on things, you know, because of coming from the West. And I think it's just, let's just strip that. You strip it by sometimes questioning it, you understand me, what you see out there, and then go look for some other answers, alternatives, because all I accept that black people should take the same stances, and I'll be straight. Anything that white folk tell us ain't for us. Whatever they're touting to us, whatever they're doing, it's never for our benefit. It's just this fucking Trojan horse, you know, the guys to undo you, you know, and that's what it is, and I don't care. And all we do later on is, later on suddenly see that. So now you can see, since civil rights and slavery, since when we didn't have nothing in post-slavery, we just worked for ourselves, civil rights, you can look at the pattern. Where were we most productive? Where were we most affluent? When we were by ourselves. They know this. The same thing as a wider situation, as a global situation with the control and degradation of Black people. That same fear of a Black planet, fear of Black people, is because you know how great we are. Some of us know how great we are. Some of us, a lot of us don't know how great we are. But that fear that anything that we go into will surpass what you attain. That's a white people's fear. I ain't got time for it. But this is why I say they will never relinquish this thing, because everyone bends from the kickbacks. Even if you're a person who thinks, oh, I'm liberal and blah, 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 they live off white privilege, jobs, everything.
That's all annoys me, all that. Like, see, this is, you know what, right? Some people vote, some people, I've never voted. And
did you, mate?
I just don't see the point. Do you know what I mean? And I can't even be bothered having any hope. You better look in the mirror for hope. You better look at your people for hope.
There you go.
Outside of that, you have no hope. And let's not play around with this weird play. Things like equality, independence. Independence, throw that word away, especially
diversity, inclusion.
No, let's go and celebrate Independence Day with the Jamaicans, the Trinidad, Nigeria, anywhere. And you're not really, until you're properly free, then, you know, then wait to celebrate then. But there's a lot of work we've got to do before and yeah, there's nothing wrong with celebrating. It's great to celebrate, you know, especially to embrace the ancestors, culture, always. But
it's just another the context, though, James, because it's still to know what is being done and what still needs to be done.
Yeah.
You understand me? And when you can see that, it's like you go on your journey. I'm not saying beat yourself up with things that you think are too bigger than you, but it starts somewhere. Everything's a microcosm of a bigger macrocosm. Do you understand me? So it's something small. It can affect something big. You know, it's just what you do with it and what you see. So my thing is, even if we start in your own community and that's all it is, you don't want to travel the world, you don't want to do nothing, that's not a problem for you as an African person, if that's where you're at. Yeah. But just know that in this world that we create, we're first. We put us first. You understand me? This is
created by God first, and everyone else came from us.
Well, yeah, the same.
That's how the Africans tell me.
It is because listen,
you came from God.
Listen, the reality talk is when we go to, even with all this DNA and the genetics and stuff. That's why I said it doesn't matter if it's science or history, whatever way, what just reaffirms this knowledge. We are the first peoples. Everyone is a mutation. It's a fact. It's a genetic mutation. If you're genetic, they'll say it. I had a little young person said to me, oh, but when I'm doing my little reasoning with young people, and in Bristol, he's like, oh, Michelle, my friend's like, he's into genetics. He says, and he's a white guy. He said, we're mutants. And I said, he's fucking right. But he's telling you the truth, brethren. Because he's telling you, because this is a black friend, we're mutant because it's a genetic mutation, the Mongoloid, the Neanderthal, all these things. That's what it is. Some Africans when the Pangea split. So we know this. You understand me? So even the knowledge of that, and this is what you say, even when it splits, sometimes we're always trying to get back to that source of knowledge to stabilize us, because that's the spirit, that's the creator. Do you understand me? You know, without us, you know, and it's that thing. So it helps us balance and stabilize. I'm not knocking people if they ain't got the same connection. Do you understand me? And what things have made you separate, but it's your actions, your practices, and the things that you still feel. What makes you separate from this oneness? Yeah. The same way they see us with our oneness, whether it's 5 of us, 10 of us, 1,000, or how we go through, they still in all of it. They still imitate it to want to have that. They don't ever have it because they are not us. It's part of the reason why they still want to put the foot on our neck, because there's a say, people say, oh, imitation is the best form of flattery. They've imitated the fuck out of our culture and us. That ain't no flattery. That's
identity
just
fraud. Identity.
Yeah. And there's also, I know there's a hate from white people's in that, and I don't care what you want to say out there, white people watching this program. There's a hate in Egypt. The hate in them that is because they are not us and cannot be us.
Never.
So look at it. Look at it. Look at even today. They Egypt yell them at the lips and all shit. I'm like, remember back in the day, the Victorians to wear the big batty things clothes because they wanted big batties, like the African women. They were killing us or slaughtering us, but they still want big batties, so they put the clothes to have them big itch up thing because it's our ass they wanted. Now, okay, they're doing the melanin, but the lips and the ass thing is just like, and now can do plastic surgery. That's joke. That ain't no flattery. That's you being an id. But that's just showing you how much you want to be me or have what I've got, but not be me. Do you understand me? And that's what it is. But all it is, you know, you can't be.
And this is where
hate comes in.
This is where it's so important for people to learn about Africa. I mean, from, like I say, always going back to pre-slavery on who we are. And at the same time, look at the influence what Africa did for people around the world as well. contributed to all, whether it was the Indus Valley civilization, the Shan Dynasty in China, whether it was into Greeks, the first Cretians, Elamites of Persia. And you'll see all these depictions, the earliest, with always black people. And it's only in the last couple of 1,000 years where, you know, about the Hyksos come to Egypt to invade. And so it's only from like 1500 BC a little bit where our power starts, especially during the Assyrians. And the Assyrians, you know, they came in with like
James,
you know, and
even
all
in modern times, though, we're still creators. One of the things what I was saying to even my uncle
still
today.
The creators, though.
Yeah, but the same way, even when you look at the internet, the mobile phone, someone put a list of modern day contemporary inventors.
Yeah,
we're still inventing. It still isn't being put out there because they don't want us to know we're the people behind the chip, behind the this, behind whatever it is. You understand me? Because that just inspires you. The same way I had to see on the internet that guy that was in the bush in Africa who didn't have electricity and used all these components to make windmill technology from the basic shit what he had. Mad engineer. They couldn't do that with all the resources, them resources. This man did it. So now they want to ship him over to Harvard. This is the same thing. Okay, we saw that clip on there. It was the guy that I saw on the internet that used the radio waves now to power stuff again.
Okay.
Going, yeah.
Totally.
It was just different things. I was just going, yo, brother, I saved them. You know, people are like, oh, mate, mind yourself because they want to come and comfort you, you know, and all these things. And I'm just like, oh, I'm not even going to put that energy on it. You know what it is? Because even if they fucking come for you, there'll be a next one behind you who's going to do something. This is what we ought to remember. We don't die. Marcus Garvey, when he said finding the whale, when he's not dead. Look how long Pan Africanist running. You understand me? Look at the ethos of what's running. Look at that. We know now that was the greatest movement ever. What alleviated us and make us rise up. You know, it's like, shown that now.
It's like, you know, this is why it's so important. You've got to teach, and we have to have a community teaching, because when we're in schools, all I remember them talking about this Greeks, Romans all the time. They like as if these are the builders of the first civilizations, and not then you learn later they learned of our ancestors in Kemet. You know,
this is what I always flag up, Paul Abina and his timeline. I tell everybody, and school and educators have got to have this. And this is why I say we've got to push to get these into schools. I don't care what you want to say with the history. We've got to push to have these everywhere. So even if they're not in school, then you don't want to put them in because it undoes what the lies that you're saying. When you see this timeline, there's no running away from it about who's done what and where. It's actually factual. So you can spin the propaganda, but when you watch the timeline, any kid will go, oh, is this history? Oh, I can see it clearly now. Wow. Now they hate that. Some people will welcome it if they're real. Some people ain't going to really want that. You know, it's like when I looked at, do you remember James Sesame Street back in the day when we were small? Sesame Street was, you know, and even you see who was on it, Nina Simone and all these people with messages for us. Do you understand me? And I can remember the little cartoon, the little black girl going to the shop and forgetting the things and all that. But it's this thing. When they put something out there and they suddenly see it's having a positive impact, it's ripped away. And this is why I still say we have to do it ourselves, because if you allow them to provide for you, when you see it's actually raising you up, it's gone. And it's a cycle. They keep playing with us. So I'm saying, let them play. We ain't playing us.
In this low vibrational state.
Yeah. It's like everyone rambles like, oh, I love Wakanda and all the rest of it. It's a good film and all the rest of it. But the same thing, I'm like, I'll go fuck yourself, because where's Toussaint? And why are we still putting money into that? And don't expect Hollywood to do it. Why have we still not put money to make Toussaint and I still bang on about it? Do you understand me? So even though they're like, oh, this and that, we do this in Hollywood cinema. Fuck Hollywood, as PE said. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Ain't got time for that, because you still haven't made Toussaint and you won't ever make Toussaint. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
But we know why. So my thing is, we still got to do it. Why haven't we? So I'm always back to that. So this is the thing I'm saying. Event that's going to come, that will come. You know, and when he said the day that comes, these are the things what highlights for me the changes. And sometimes changes are small. We've also got to recognize that where the changes are coming, because they'll have you believe that things aren't changing, but they are. And like I said to a friend, you know, like when the system, when something's slipping out of your hand, what do you do with it? It's falling, you hold it tighter. All these strangleholds that the so-called system is putting on us is because they don't know your system is failing. It's falling apart. So I'm holding on even tighter. I'm going to put another noose on there. I'm going to do this on there, whatever it is, because your system's crumbling. Even your own white folk are like, oh, I want to upgrade to the system. You understand me? So even that. we're opting out already just by nature
Yeah.
of who we. You understand me? And when these people see the benefits of it, then they'll join. You understand me?
Exactly.
And they'll be following it. Like I'm seeing people in
Mm.
Africa going back and do businesses. I want to go. I'll be
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
I ain't
It's
staying here.
inspiring.
I'll be coming
Probably
back and forth.
when you see
know?
people in, like, you could be watching a YouTube video, someone going to Ghana,
Yes.
black family going together, and then even their story behind it was like, they don't want to raise the child to be born in the United States, fear of being shot by police.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? This is no joke. It's
James,
not
you talked about the
serious.
energy.
Yeah.
When we have a chance to walk in a place where we don't have to think about racism, anything, and all these things, what we do, them nuances.
Yeah.
Our whole vibration is different.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's that. And we still got to remember to commit to giving ourselves that, or forging that for ourselves, whether it's an environment within the West, whether it's pocket communities, fine, or as a connection, as our global connection with the diaspora in Africa. Because the same way I want to have a place where families can come back to, even if you are Uncle Tom Coon, still come and see Auntie Mimi over in Africa. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
You'll still get your African vibe. It might give you a little African swag. You understand me? All good.
Totally.
Still go back to do what you do, but you can still build into it. Not everything's lost. We're going to dash it away because you're Uncle Tom Coon unless you're coming to sell us out. You understand me? It's this, so it's about how you can build in. So the same way, like Marcus said, the one drop rule. We don't care if you've got one drop of African. Are you an African? Do you see yourself as African? Then we'll run with you. If you haven't, you have, and you don't move, you can be black as me. I still say move because you white.
Yeah.
You understand me? Because it's about identity and how we go through. So before we run out, what I wanted to kind of wrap up with is, yeah, things are changing, James. Maybe sometimes not quick enough for us, but let's not be blinded by the veils and the propaganda of what they're trying to make out like, oh, shit ain't happening for African peoples at all. It really is.
We want to be in control of whatever we're doing. And that's why, like, I like the way you do things. You just stay independent. Yes, you can work with people if necessary, but the core of things, this is for us. That's it's like on the podcast, for example, black presenter and black guest, and it's doing just fine. I don't need to change it. I've had some people say, "Why don't you invite this and this and that?" And it's not a case of that. It's about this works without. Now, it doesn't necessarily make a restriction that you couldn't go on another show, but it has to be related to what I'm doing, and I'm not gonna water it down to make you feel better.
That's the key.
You know what I'm saying?
To make other people feel better, because that's all it is, James. It's
Yeah.
a thing of unapologetically African. We're doing African things, for African peoples, and if that's just our nucleus, that's okay. And I don't care if he doesn't like it, because we know that is necessary. They know it is. They just don't want us to do that.
Yeah.
I saw the interview and someone asked this man, I think it was Shakarat, was doing the podcast post, and he said, asking this black guy about in America about, Britain, do you like Britain, and do you like this, and do you like this, and he talked about slavery and all that. And the man said they would never ask a German person who's got an ancestry of the Holocaust, do you like Germany? Do you understand me? But do you want us to still say this slavery thing? Oh, but we still like you. No, I don't fucking like it. I don't forgive you. Do you understand me? And all these things. And we're going to rise beyond you in spite of you. Done. So what you're sitting there for, the little nice little nigga to say, oh, yes, master, we still like you. We still want to be in your country. No, we fucking don't. You understand me? Get out.
We want to be totally free people. And the only way to be free is by working with your own, And I mean, I don't like to play into the fairy tale world, like, everyone just comes together like that. That would be a divine force to just make it happen, like, But outside of that, there's the selected few you better connect with, because you're all like-minded people. But I want to thank you very much, Michelle. Anyway, this is James Diboe, dedicated to original peoples, and our big thanks for now. We have to get you on again, and I'm going to come looking to work with you anyway.
Definitely. Thank you, bro. Take it easy.
Peace anyway, and blessings. We'll just let this run out now, and I've enjoyed today.